All right, my friends, welcome to the October forecast. October is going to be a much lighter month than September. We are still processing so much of what is going on, what we've learned from September, from eclipse season, and don't worry, we will dive into that before we move into what's up ahead. And like always, let's begin with a grounding meditation. Wherever you are, root down through your sit bones, through your feet, and close your eyes. Notice the quality of your breath. Start to lengthen your inhales and extend out your exhales. And we'll start with 3 cleansing breaths. As you empty the breath out, take a deep breath in through the nose and an audible exhale out through the mouth. Deep breath in through the nose and an audible exhale out through the mouth. And one more deep breath in through the nose. Hold it at the top. Can you breathe in a little bit more air? And let it go out through the mouth. Seal the lips. Start to breathe in and out through the nose. And feel the breath move through the back of the throat, down the length of the spine, and into the belly. I invite you to set an intention for our session today. And maybe you already know, you have a feeling, an intuitive hit about the intention you want to set for the month of October. Empty the breath out. Take a deep breath in through the nose and an audible exhale out through the mouth. As you're ready, gently open your eyes, coming back to the present moment and the present space. All right, so grounding meditation done, and let's get into the monthly forecast. And of course, I will have journal prompts at the end. So let us review eclipse season. Eclipse season brought us a lot of surprising things. I know that for myself, I got sick a couple times, and some of that was to slow me down because I was, on the brink of maybe burning out. And then some of it was upgrading. If you also got sick during this time or like kind of had some like unusual sicknesses, when we like aren't feeling well, it is also a byproduct of an energetic upgrade, a release, so that this new version of yourself, this new chapter can begin. And so you may have also experienced some sudden changes, some things that have needed you to move or change your routine, and other opportunities have presented themselves. And really, we're learning how to trust, how to have faith, and to release control of the things that we cannot control. The only thing that is within our ability to control is our mindset, is how we interpret things, and the stories that we tell ourselves. So I don't want you to kind of just be like, okay, glossing over eclipse season, like it's over, we can move on. Now is the time for you to integrate, to be curious about what happened over the last month and what were some major themes that came up for me. If you haven't had a chance to do the September forecast, I definitely recommend that you go do the eclipse portion of it because especially with the new moon in Virgo that we had on August 22nd, then September 21st, it was like the full hero's journey. And it really very much so represents the transformation that you will go through over the next 6 months. Now, this hero's journey, wherever you were kind of experiencing ups and downs, wherever Virgo shows up in your chart, September was a breakthrough moment, was a catalyst, was the beginning of this larger transformation that is happening in your life. It might be something that looks like you're letting go of the old ways that you've been doing things or perceiving this area of your life. Let's say you have Virgo in your third house. You are breaking down the way you communicate to others, to yourself. Communication, internal operating systems, like all of that is changing for you, as well as like how you see your community, how you see your neighborhood, how you see yourself as an active participant and or leader in your local community. And it doesn't matter if you don't have a planet in the sign of Virgo, something is changing. You have Virgo in a specific house. And so this transformation is happening over the next 6 months. It's not going to feel as drastic and intense as eclipse season, because remember, eclipse season is a concentration of energy. Like the full moon and the new moons, like they just feel like 10x stronger, more emotional, more potent. And so it was a sneak peek of what lies ahead. So the full transformation will complete on March 3rd, 2026, with the full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo. And the message I keep getting for us is to let go, and to let go some more. To know that the way that you've been doing things isn't the only way, nor it is the best way. So, with that, as we close out eclipse season, we are now in the thick of things for the full moon in Aries. So some of this energy is continuing. And if you have Aries, Virgo, or Pisces, that shows it prominently in your chart, whether it's in your big three or you have a stellium, three or more planets in Aries, Virgo, or Pisces, or planets in the first house, in the 12th house, or the sixth house, like this season of life from literally like end of August to mid October might be feeling like you're in the tumble dry like part of the cleaning process, kind of being bounced all over the place. But let me tell you, it is settling. So let's get into the October forecast. Again, this month it feels a little bit more easeful, a little bit lighter, and very much so more social. And with Libra and Scorpio season, there is a lot to look forward to. But, this list, I would say, pretty light, pretty good in terms of like managing the energies. A big theme for the month of October is like a revisit from the past and a full like circle moment, closure, new beginning, the lessons we learned in 2022 through 2024. And those lessons are around leadership, around boundaries, relationships, how you advocate for yourself, how you like just understand like what it truly means to be in partnership, what it means to be a friend, to be a mother, a daughter, a girlfriend, a lover, like whatever label, whatever role it is. And so with that, we're going to talk about the season first. Libra season is about connection, it's about being social, and so during this time, it is a really great opportunity for you to put yourself out there. Now, it could be reaching out to people at work or in your industry, like networking. It could be just gathering people together to have fun, to relax, to commiserate together, to lift each other's spirits up, to do a creative project or activity. I know some of you have felt quite burned out and burned by certain people and relationships in your life, but this is going to be a fresh start this Libra season, especially at the end of the month with the new moon in Libra. It is going to be a new opportunity for you to connect with others, connect with people you have been connecting with, as well as new people. So if you've been a little bit afraid to put yourself out there, like maybe it's a new business partner, new people to collaborate with, maybe you're looking for a new best friend, or you feel like you're finally ready to date, you have a different perspective, like all of those things are coming into play. Now, after Libra season, we have Scorpio season. Scorpio season is one that is characterized by like it's a little mysterious, a little bit more aloof, kind of like wants to hibernate a little bit, but also kind of like doing deep work. Now, like if you are a Scorpio, like this is a time where you come alive. Just like Libras, you come alive during your season. The sh sun is shining on you. And Scorpio is one that is very much so a sign that wants to seek the truth, that wants to heal, that wants to know. It is a very ambitious sign as well. So you may be feeling like you want to make a plan for yourself as it relates to work versus in Libra season, you're connecting with people, building those relationships. In Scorpio season, you're leveraging on those relationships. But I'll elaborate a little bit more once we get closer to Scorpio season as well. So, locate where Libra and Scorpio shows up in your chart. If you haven't noticed already, we're just moving along. It's just moving along, like around the pie chart known as your birth chart. So, here is Libra season. This person has Libra in the seventh house as well as a little bit of the eighth house. So, things that are coming up for them in this season around relationships, around their own healing, around like like power dynamics, how they work with other people. And then it kind of will move into the ninth house as well around like philosophy, way of living, and like religion and spirituality, just like how you view your life and the way you want to live your life. And also can be a strong focus on like learning, teaching, because it is ninth house. So it's affecting this person's seventh house, eighth house, and ninth house. You can view as when we're in Libra season and Scorpio season, there is the sunshine, the sunlight, a spotlight on these areas of your life, on these specific houses. So, themes related to these houses are going to be coming up a lot more for you. And here are some of the themes that are associated with each of the houses. So, just kind of moving along the chart, like as we move through the seasons, we're just kind of moving up and over the birth chart. Just take a moment to see which houses Libra and Scorpio are in for you. All right, next up, planetary shifts. Okay, so Mercury is going to enter Scorpio on the 6th, which is actually the same day as the full moon. So, really, Monday, I would be quite careful in the way that you talk and communicate with people. Mercury in Scorpio is zesty. It is one that, like, is savage, a savage communicator. Like, you know, in the early days of the free career astrology report. So when I like shared it back in like 2022, crazy. It was like 3 years ago at this point. I would get some scathing comments from people. And it was like such a pattern. It would always be the same types of scathing comments. Like I would go look at their Mercury or like look at their chart, and it would be Scorpio, it could be Aries, like they will just let you know. Sometimes it's Virgo as well. Like when Mercury is in Scorpio, that means like people can be a little bit more honest in the way they communicate. It could also be a little bit more manipulative, kind of like pursuing like an agenda. So just be aware, like if that shows up within you, and shows up within like other people as well. But it'll be interesting because anytime Mercury's in Scorpio, like that's gonna be kind of like letting collective truth come to light. Then we have Venus entering Libra on the 13th. So that is like a really beautiful time. For like the rest of the month, like there's just going to be so much expansive energy around just like relationships and embracing like how relationships can really bring abundance into your life. So Venus is the planet of love, relationships, and values. And so when it goes into Libra, there's just a little extra energy wherever Libra shows up in your chart. So you may feel really drawn to, like, let's say Libra is like in your fourth house. You're going to be drawn to maybe connecting with women, doing healing work, stuff with family, maybe making your home nice and cozy, or bringing people into your home, or maybe creating like a healing space and like gathering people. That's like a bit of the vibes. Now, heads up, Mercury retrograde is going to go into its like pre-shadow period, or Mercury will be in its pre-shadow, like pre-Mercury retrograde shadow period, starting on the 21st. Mercury retrograde doesn't start until November 9th, but in this pre-shadow period, there can be some miscommunication already, and it's going to be in the sign of Scorpio during this like pre-shadow period, and then it's going to move into Sagittarius once it's the actual Mercury retrograde. So as you can see, like it can kind of lead to some miscommunication, some misfires, and saying the truth. Is it to the right people? Is it the right time? So like on the 21st, which is also going to be the new moon in Libra, just like be aware over the next few weeks of like how you might, you know, say things that you're just like, oh, I shouldn't have said that, or like somebody said that to me and I was like really, really triggering. Um, so some things to noodle about, and like with any Mercury retrograde, just being aware of giving yourself some more time. Like in the pre-shadow period, it doesn't feel as intense as when the actual Mercury retrograde like is happening. But if you're starting to feel like if you're a sensitive person, if you're a water sign friend, you know, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, like and like you just identify with someone who is empathic, you're probably gonna notice a subtle shift in energy and maybe feeling a little tongue-tied, as well as just like wanting to maybe word vomit at times, just be like, you know, like this thing is wrong, or like I really feel like you should stand up for yourself, like don't deal with that person anymore. Like that's some of the examples that could come up. And then we have the Neptune retrograde moving into Pisces. So Neptune, outer planet, went over to Aries for like a couple months. This is a transit that lasts for quite a bit of time, and it's just going back into Pisces like for like a few more like months until like early like next year. I don't remember the exact date, but don't worry, I will keep you appraised of these changes. So Neptune is a planet of dreams, imagination. It is the planet that is associated with Pisces. This is where some things can happen in terms of like disillusionment, illusion. So as it goes back into Pisces, there might be some interesting things that happen as it comes to art, entertainment, music, spirituality, like intuition, like spiritual world. Like people might like you know, there might be something like people think about or rethinking because retrogrades are introspective times around like gurus, around like various spiritual modalities and spiritual communities, maybe like thinking about like, oh, how are some people like spiritually bypassing? So there is that. But again, it's an outer planet, so you know, its effects are felt a little bit more subtly and over a longer period of time versus like Mercury and Venus. These are planets that change signs like much more frequently. Okay, let's get to the moon signs now. At this point, we're pretty familiar that the moon signs, if you've been with me for a while, it's about emotional processing, your inner world, and also gives you an insights into energy levels. We are in the energy of the full moon in Aries. Like all full moons, you can feel it the week before, definitely the day of or the day before. And it's just very subtle, like how you can like how it shows up. But with a full moon in Aries, like there's agitation, there's frustration, there's a desire to like assert, to lead, to push, and to force and to make things happen. There's a bit of impatience, especially if you feel like you haven't been recognized at work. Like you are going to make yourself known. You're going to say something, and that may or may not come out in like the best way. Now, especially if you are an Aries, like it can feel a little bit intense. So just take note of that. This weekend is a wonderful time for you to channel this energy into one that is a little bit more productive, creative projects, exercise, as well as like finally starting like that side hustle or business, your consulting business, like your like spiritual business, your like art business or Etsy shop, like whatever it may be. Now, Monday, definitely, like on the 6th, like be a little bit careful as we have Mercury moving into Scorpio, like as well. So, any conversations you need to have, like pause before you speak, like review all of your written communication. It can be a little bit more like a knee jerk shooting from the hip reaction. So just be careful and also just be super aware of like what people are saying because they may say something and take it back later that night or like later that week. But this is a full circle moment from the new moon in Aries, which we had during eclipse season earlier this year, where this like full like process over the last 6 months, like wherever Aries shows up in your chart, you have found a way to really solidify how you like advocate for yourself in that, how you take leadership, how creativity is expressed through there, and as well as like how you communicate your boundaries. So full moons can feel intense, but ultimately super great. Time for release and like celebration. New moon in Virgo on the 21st. Oh, sorry. Libra, typo. New moon in Libra. Now, with a new moon in Libra, this is going to be a time that is really good for you to start new relationships and have a fresh perspective, new perspective on how you want to show up in relationships. This is going to be a great time to restart relationships, like have a fresh perspective, maybe have a different POV approach to your like relationship with your supervisors, like with your boss, something like that. So notice where Aries and Libra show up in your chart. So for this person, Aries is showing up in the first house, and then Libra is in the seventh house. This is where the new and full moons are going to affect you. Now, there was a slide that I skipped earlier, so I want to go back and talk about the planetary shifts. So, Mercury in Scorpio, Venus in Libra, Mercury in like Scorpio, and it's like, pre-retrograde shadow, pre-shadow period, Neptune in Pisces. And you'll notice like if you look at these signs and where it shows up in your chart, that's like where, like, let's say Mercury in Scorpio. And you see like, okay, so Scorpio is going to be in my eighth and my ninth house. That means like you're probably going to be more curious about thinking about these things, learning about these things, related to eighth and the ninth house. And that's going to be around like healing, feeling empowerment, like resources, karma, the past, things that you kind of like hide from yourself, as well as like learning about new things and like philosophy and like religion. All right. So here are the houses again. Take a moment to just jot down the houses that are specifically affecting you. So I'll go back. Aries and Libra for the full moon in Aries, the new moon in Libra. And then we have like Scorpio, Libra, and Pisces for Mercury, Venus, and Neptune. And you can take a look at where Libra, Scorpio, and Pisces shows up for you, and then Aries and Libra. All right, finally, some journaling exercises. What parts of my identity are new? What parts of my identity am I still accepting? How do I feel about my relationships right now? And what is my relationship to work? So the first two are for the full moon in Aries coming up. The third question is going to be for the new moon in Libra, and then the last one is one and an ode to eclipse season because like work is radically shifting and changing. Our relationship to work is radically shifting and changing. And I do believe that we're all in the process of being entrepreneurial. because we want financial freedom, autonomy, like with how things are going with the economy, with AI, and just like how we are evolving, like as human beings, wanting more pleasure, wanting more fulfillment in our work, we're going to diversify. And like, I believe that there's no longer the ability to hide in your job anymore, to be on autopilot. So I will continue to talk about this over the next 6 months to help you prepare like for these changes as well. But lots to noodle on. Overall, October is going to be feeling a lot lighter, a lot brighter. We'll be reflecting on some of the lessons we've learned in the past, having that become a full circle moment. And honestly, I think it's going to be super, super good and what we need, um, after the eclipse season that we had. Okay, any questions you have, please drop it into the comments and feel free to DM me as well.